Who was Merab in the Bible? Merab was the eldest daughter of King Saul of Israel. As the daughter of King Saul, Merab was born destined for an important role in the court. Although she was a princess of Israel, her life was not safe and peaceful. Her story was marked by tragedies, suffering, and pain. Merab lived in a troubled time when her father's kingdom faced turmoil and conflict. She became a hostage to political machinations that linked her fate to a tragic path she never chose or desired. In this video, you will learn everything about who Merab was, the oldest daughter of King Saul, and her story as described in the Bible. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, take this opportunity and subscribe now. Also, show your support for the channel by clicking on the Value Demes button and contributing whatever amount you can. Your contribution helps us continue to create quality content for you. Together we can make a difference. Thank you. Let's start the video. Merab was the eldest daughter of King Saul of Israel. The exact meaning of the name Merab is uncertain, but scholars believe it has Hebrew origins and may mean increase, majority, or becoming many abundant. The Bible does not provide many personal details about Merab but reveals some genealogical information. She was the great-granddaughter of father of Kish, granddaughter of Kish, father of Saul, and it is likely that her mother was Ahinoam, Saul's wife, although he had concubines. Ahinoam was the daughter of Ahimaaz. Merab had 8 siblings: Jonathan, Abinadab also known as Ishvi, Malchishua, Ishbosheth also known as Eshbal, and Michael, the youngest sister, children of Ahinoam, and half-siblings are Mani and Mephibosheth, children of Rizpah, concubine of their father Saul. This information is described in the first book of Samuel chapter 14 verses 49 to 51, in the second book of Samuel chapter 21 verses 8 and 9, and in the first book of Chronicles chapter 8 verse 33. The biblical texts mention that Merab was promised as a wife to David. After David defeated the giant Goliath, he became a prominent leader in Israel known for his military triumphs and loved by the people. Saul placed David in a prominent position in his army, but due to political complexities and Saul's change in attitude towards David, the marriage did not happen. Influenced by jealousy and insecurity, Saul gave Merab's hand to another suitor, Adriel son of Barzillai from Meholah. In the context of the battle between the Philistine army and the Israelite army, the biblical text records, when the Israelites saw Goliath, they all fled in great fear. The Israelites said to each other, "Have you seen that man? He has come to defy Israel. The king will give great riches to whoever kills him. He will also give his daughter in marriage and exempt his father's family from taxes in Israel." And David asked the soldiers standing next to him, "What will the man who kills this Philistine and saves Israel's honor receive? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine to defy the army of the living God?" They repeated to David what had been said and told him, "This is what the man who kills him will receive," as described in the first book of Samuel chapter 17 between verses 24 to 27. David, the young man who, by the power of God, defeated the giant Goliath and freed Israel from humiliation, was promised as a husband to Merab, King Saul's eldest daughter. However, Saul had other intentions when making this promise. He not only wanted to bring David into his family but also create favorable conditions for him to be killed in battle. At this point, Saul was already showing himself to be an out-of-control man. Saul said to David, "Here is my eldest daughter, Merab. I will give her in marriage to you, only serve me bravely and fight the Lord's battles." With this condition, Saul hoped that the Philistines would kill David. But in response to Saul's proposal, David claimed not to belong to a social position worthy of marrying Merab, the princess of Israel. When it came time for Merab to be given to David as a wife, Saul did not fulfill his promise and ended up giving the girl as a wife to another man named Adriel, son of Barzillai, the Mahalathite. This man was from Abel-Meholah. As described in the first book of Samuel chapter 18. The Bible does not provide explanations for why Saul changed his mind and married Merab to another man. Some commentators suggest that this may have happened due to David's positioning when he judged himself not worthy of being a son-in-law of the king. Others believe that this attitude of Saul was due to his neurotic behavior. At that time, the king of Israel was already a disturbed man with his spirit consumed by hatred, jealousy, and anger. Saul saw David as his rival and wanted to harm him. Merab did not marry David, but her younger sister Michal ended up marrying him. Saul saw in David's marriage with Michal the possibility of being able to trap David so that he would finally be killed by the Philistines. However, once again, Saul was unsuccessful in his plan, and after David became his public enemy, Saul took Michal even though she was already David's wife and also gave her in marriage to another man. After these events involving Saul's plot to marry his daughters to David, the biblical text no longer records details about Merab's life. It is not possible to know what her life was like with Adriel. The only exception is a verse in which the Bible informs that Merab and Adriel had at least 5 children. Unfortunately, Merab's children had a tragic end. Merab and Rizpah's children were handed over by King David to the Gibeonites as a consequence of Saul's betrayal against that people. The Gibeonites had a protection treaty with the Israelites, but Saul broke that treaty and pursued and killed many Gibeonites. During David's reign, there was a great crisis in Israel, and the reason for this crisis was the crime committed against the Gibeonites in Saul's time. To resolve this issue, David called the Gibeonites and questioned them about what could be done to repair Saul's mistake. The Gibeonites demanded the death of Saul's descendants, and it was on this occasion that Merab probably faced the worst pain of her life. The Bible says that Merab's 5 children, who were Saul's grandchildren, were handed over to the Gibeonites to be killed. According to the second book of Samuel chapter 21 verses 8 and 9. In addition to Merab's 5 children, Rizpah's 2 children, who was a concubine of Saul, were also killed. The Bible says that the bodies of the 7 men were publicly exposed. It was in this context that Rizpah protected the bodies of her dead children day and night so they would not be devoured by animals. This attitude was fundamental so that after 6 months David allowed the remains of the 7 men including Merab's children to be buried with dignity. As mentioned in 2 Samuel chapter 21. We conclude that Merab's story is a narrative of unfulfilled commitments and family tragedies. Initially promised in marriage to David, she ended up being given to Adriel, with whom she had 5 children. Unfortunately, her children were cruelly murdered by the Gibeonites and hanged along with Rizpah's children, her father's concubine. The pain and suffering that Merab must have faced are unimaginable. Her story is a sad warning of the difficulties of family and political relationships at the time. Thank you for watching, and I hope this video has touched your heart. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. In addition, I will make available a video about Rizpah's story so you can better understand the context of this king of Israel's life.